Hi, what I'm going to do here in this video is show you how to use Google Docs in order to do some graphing, some simple graphing procedures. You can also use Microsoft Excel, which is actually a superior program. It has more options, and it's actually a little bit easier to use, really, but very often people don't have access to Microsoft Excel. So let me bring up here Google Docs so you can see it. So what you do is you go up to, so the website is often drive.google.com, and you go to Google Sheets, click on that, and that's going to form a new one, a new spreadsheet. You're doing a spreadsheet here, okay? So in this spreadsheet, I'm going to title each column that I put numbers in. So I'm going to start with the distance R. R is the symbol for distance that we're using. And then the units are in centimeters. So I'll put that in parentheses. Okay. Then I'm going to put the distances in. Notice I'm putting it in from smaller distance to larger distance. I recommend doing it that way. And then I'm going to put in the corresponding counts per minute. 60 seconds is a minute. So counts per minute. And then you can do a little bit of housekeeping on it. So you can come up and select those cells and then center them in the cells, the text that you put in there. And then these are numbers I'm just making up. You'll have your own numbers. So let's say this was 120, and then 110, and then 100, and then 80, and then 55. I'm just going to make up these numbers. Okay. What you do is you highlight all the numbers, and then you go up to insert, and you want to do a chart. Okay. There's different charts you can do. But I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. There we go. So there's our chart. So what it did was it defaulted to a line chart. So look over here on the right where it says line chart. It should say chart editor. And then that's to close the chart editor. Setup and customize. So the setup is it defaulted to a line chart. In general, when we do charts in the sciences, for this type of relationship, we would click on scatter. The only problem with scatter is that there doesn't seem to be any way to actually connect these dots together to make it look visually stimulating. So the work around that for this particular graph is just to go back up and just go ahead and use the line. It's not the best way to do it. We would really want to do scatter, but this will work also. Okay. All right, so there you go. And you can click on the points. So see, I just clicked over here and you see the little circles come up. You might be able to change the points to make them a different shape so that you can actually see them as well. Okay, so see how you now have triangles there. It's kind of visually you can see them. And that would be your first graph. You have the title up here. The y-axis is labeled over here. The x-axis is labeled over here. Those can be edited if you want to change them, right? So I can put up here. So I could do, for example, radiation intensity, right? And then put in parentheses, maybe, well, maybe put a dash or something like that. Counts per minute versus distance are in centimeters, okay? And, very often when you do a title of a graph, you don't put the units in there. You just say maybe distance, so versus distance, that kind of thing, okay? So there's our first graph, pretty straightforward. You want to print out a copy of it. Okay, you're going to submit a copy on paper. Now, we have a second graph that we want to do as well. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to take two new columns. And in this one, we're going to use the same, we're going to use the same counts per minute. So I'm just going to copy it. And you can go up and do it this way. Just select the keys and hit copy. Or you can hit whatever function is useful on your computer. And I'm going to paste it over there. And then now we're not doing distance, we're doing 1 over distance squared. Okay, so same idea. I'm going to bold that and center it and that kind of thing. Okay, so now here's the nice thing about these spreadsheets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit equal sign in that first cell and then do the arithmetic. 1 over 1 slash distance squared, so caret 2. See the formalism? Anytime you're going to do a formula, some calculation, you hit equal sign. Then I did 1 over whatever's in cell C5, and then square it, raise it to the second power, hit return. Okay. Then I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom, and it's going to do all of them. So it's going to use 6 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 12. You can check that. 1 over 10 squared is easy. 1 over 10 squared is 1 over 100, which is 0.01. Looks like it did it. Okay. So now you can do your second graph. I'm just going to select these, and I'm going to go up to insert a chart. Okay. Now this time we don't want a line graph. We want, for this one, we want, we want, I have a little bit of problem finding this thing here. Let's come back up here. Setup. Sorry, I had to do setup. We don't want a line chart. We want the scatter. So come all the way down here to scatter. Okay. So that's under setup where you pick that one. Okay. So now we got the little dots there. Because the reason why we want that is we're going to do a trend line. So now you come over to customize. And if it's always difficult for me to remember where these things are. It's not under legend. Maybe it's this one right here. Nope, it's not that one either. Series. There it is. It's under series, sorry. So let me close these just so you can see how I got access to that. Okay, series. You come and it says trend line. So click on trend line. Okay, see how I drew a line through the graph? That's a trend line. Now there's a couple things you want with the trend line. You can do other types of trend lines, by the way. This one's a linear, but you can actually do other kinds, but we'll just do linear for this course. There's some other information you want to put in there. So if you scroll down, it says show R squared. This is a statistical measure of how linear, how correlated the data is to being linear, essentially. How correlated X is to
I
Y.
didn't get that. Could you try again?
X is to Y. So let me just get rid of this. So you squared.
No need to apologize.
Let me just close this out. And then the next thing you want to do, there's one more piece of information, and I'm trying to remember where it is again, is you want to show the equation for this. So I'm just going to come back up here. I just clicked on chart and X these titles. It's not there. I'm sorry that it's not coming out real simple where this stuff is. Here we go, labels. So again, I'm still on series. I'm still on the series. These are the data that you're graphing. You got to go all the way down here to where it says label. See where it says label? Now what you do is you put the use equation. Click on use equation. So now the equation is shown here. 1,690 is the slope of this line of best fit times X plus 59.1, that's the y-intercept. So the line shows the slope and y-intercept. It's very common for us to want at least one of those two parameters, either the slope or the y-intercept. So you want to make sure you do that. So again, use equation is under label and then show R squared, right? So all of that, the trend line and all of that information, there's three things you want to turn on: trend line, R squared, and then show the equation. That's all under series. Okay, so if I close series, now you got all that. Okay, and that's your second graph right there. So you should have a linear fit, and then you should have an equation there with an R squared value, and that would be your second graph. Okay, good luck.